What's going on? Thanks for joining me for Unit 6, Day 4. The last few videos have each been about one type of development, right? Cognitive development, psychosexual development. Today we're going to try and tackle two types of development, two different theories, moral development and psychosocial development, okay? Two different theories of development. So we'll start off by talking about moral development, okay? The guy's name who came up with it is Kohlberg. The way I remember that he is associated with moral development is I think about what it means if you get coal in your stocking, right? If you get coal in your stocking, it means you've not had a good year, right? You've not been good. You've been naughty, not nice. Kohlberg had a theory of moral development. He said that over time, people are in one of three different levels of morality. So like the middle level is called conventional morality. This is people's like basic standard morality. Some folks are in the pre-conventional stage and little kids are at level 1. And people who are super moral, who are really moral, they're in level 3, the post-conventional stage of morality. He said there are 3 levels, and within each level, he said there are 2 stages. You don't need to write these down yet because we're gonna be going through them, all right? But 6 stages, 3 levels of morality. And the whole idea of Kohlberg's theory, this is where I want you to start writing. So Roman numeral 1, Kohlberg's theory of moral development. He said that what makes you moral is the reasoning behind why you do what you do. He doesn't say it's actually your decisions, your life choices, your actions. Kohlberg said it's about your thinking. Why did you decide to do the things you did? He was a psychologist. He was a philosopher. He thought if we sat around and talked about the moral thing, if we had a good explanation for our reasoning, that's what determined morality. Okay, so he said the least moral people and like little kids are at level 1, the pre-conventional, before conventional. This is stage 1, and it's about punishment and avoidance. They only do certain things to avoid getting in trouble. Or number 2, they only do certain things because they want to get something out of it. You don't need to write down the names of the stages. Please don't write down this whole quote. Even those of you who normally write everything down, don't write down the whole quote. Just write down the bold words here. These stages are tied to operant conditioning. The idea here is that you only do the right thing to try and get something. You are extrinsically motivated. Extrinsic motivation means there's something outside of you that you want. There's some sort of a reward or punishment, and that's why you do the things you do, okay? Kohlberg would say you're not very moral in these stages, okay? Let's move on and look at the second level, conventional morality. This is your basic morals. Kohlberg said that people in this stage, like kids, for example, elementary school, middle school, the reason why they do the right thing is not because they're afraid of the consequences. It's because they want to be good. They want people to think of them as being good kids, good people, a nice person, okay? Stage 4, still in this conventional morality, he said, this is where most people end up. They do the right thing. They think about morals in terms of how we have to have rules in order for society to function, all right? If we didn't have rules, if we didn't have laws, it would be chaos. We have to make sure that we have order. Kohlberg said, if this is the way you think about what's right and wrong, you're in the conventional stage, stage 3, stage 4, all right? The most moral people go beyond just thinking about laws and rules. The most moral people are post-conventional, after conventional morality. They understand that in society, we agree to treat people a certain way. We call this a social contract. If you think about world history and US history, you may have learned about John Locke and natural rights and Rousseau, and the idea that we agree to treat people a certain way. That's the idea of social contracts. Additionally, and this is a phrase that I am asking you to write down. It's bolded though, okay? The idea of universal ethical principles. This idea that you do the right thing, you behave a certain way, not for a reward or punishment or because of what others think about you or or because of society's functioning, but you do the right thing just because you have an internal moral compass that guides you. And you think that there are these principles that we should all follow. It's these big ideals of justice and human rights for all, no matter what the law says. All right? We're going to do an activity in class Monday, Tuesday. No, I guess Tuesday, Wednesday, B-Day, 8A folks. We're going to do an activity in class. We're going to talk about this idea that you should have an ethical principle that applies to everybody. Kohlberg believed that was the most moral thing that you could do. Okay, have guiding principles. I will never lie. I will never steal. Not because I'm scared of getting in trouble or because I want people to like me, but because you should never violate somebody's personal rights. You should never violate somebody's privacy. That's just a universal ethical principle that I might hold to. Kohlberg said the folks who follow these are the most moral. All right, so here you go. 3 levels, 6 stages. Quick check for understanding. Number 1, do you agree that people grow more moral over time? Do you think that everyone gets to stage 2 and 3? Number 2, without looking at your notes, make sure you can tell the difference between the levels and the stages. Number 3, your opinion. At what age do you think people might move from pre-conventional to conventional, or from conventional to post-conventional? Number 4, what stage do you think you are in? I mean, most of the time, why do you do what you do? Is it because you're just trying to be considered good? Are you trying to get something out of it? Do you believe that we need to have an ordered society? Do you believe that we should all agree to treat people a certain way? Or do you have this inner moral compass that guides all of your decisions, both big and small, about honesty and integrity that you hold to? It's tough to do. Which level do you think you are in? We'll talk about these in class. Now, if you don't like Kohlberg's theory, I got good news for you. It's not the only theory of morality. I want to talk to you about Carol Gilligan. Carol Gilligan did not like Kohlberg's theory. His whole idea was that by sitting around and talking about things, that's what makes you moral. So he said that philosophers and psychologists and professors were the most moral. So he was like an old white guy who said that old white guys who sat around thinking about things were the most moral people. And when he would test people on their morality, he found that men were the most moral. And she didn't like his theory. She said it was sexist. It spent too much time focusing on thinking and whether or not you're a professor at a PhD, and if you have the right terminology, and if you've studied philosophy. She said that your morals should not be about your thinking, but should be about your actions. Carol Gilligan, Carol, proposed what's called care ethics. Carol, care ethics. She said that what matters is your actions. How have you cared for other people? Put a star by this word altruism. When you sacrifice for the sake of others, you give something up to make someone else's life better. She said that that's what makes you moral. So she still developed 3 theories, 3 stages: pre-conventional, conventional, post-conventional. She said, folks in the pre-conventional stage, you don't need to write these down, but they only care about themselves. People in the conventional stage, they start to pay attention to others and care about their thoughts and opinions. But people who are most moral, according to care theory, in the post-conventional stage, they sacrifice and are willing to give up things in order to put other people ahead of themselves. Okay? They're not extrinsically motivated. They do things for others. And what she found, it's interesting, was that she believed mothers are the most moral people. They literally sacrifice their body, their time, their sanity for 9 months, right? We talked about zygote, embryo, fetus. They're sacrificing throughout that process. And then they give up their sleep, their time, their money, their energy to take care of their kids. When she determined how moral people were, she found that mothers were the most moral. Okay? Kind of interesting. What do you think? Number 1, how did she critique Kohlberg? Number 2, is there anything ironic about this? We'll talk about it in class. And number 3, even if it's a little bit ironic, do we still agree that morality should be more about your actions rather than just your thinking? Do we like that part of this theory? I do. What do you think? We'll talk about it in class. Have some opinions when you come to school, come to class, all right? So that's the theory of moral development. We have Kohlberg and we have Gilligan. I now want to shift and talk about a different theory of development. Okay? It's a theory of how we develop socially. The guy who came up with it, his name is Erik Erikson. He's one of my favorites, and I'll talk about why when we're in class together. But Erik Erikson said that as you go through life, there are 8 ways that you develop in terms of how you view others, how you interact with them, how you think about them. Okay. And he said that at different ages, you have these internal conflicts that you have to resolve and conquer. And that's what helps you become a healthy person with a healthy ego. That's a Freudian word from our last video, right? Your ego is your personality. Erickson said that you have to go through 8 struggles in life to be a whole, complete human being. Okay? So I know you can't really see this chart here, but we're going to kind of talk through it. Nothing to write here, but you can see we have 8 stages: infancy, early childhood, childhood, adolescence, adulthood. We have the age Erickson said you were in. We have the value that you get in each stage: hope, purpose, love, wisdom. We have the crisis and what the social interaction is. So this is kind of interesting. I'm going to zoom in, right? So he said that in the first stage, as an infant, your relationship with your mother is most important, right? That goes with attachment, right? And Mary Ainsworth and Mary Main's theory. And then this reminds me of Diana Baumrind's theory, the idea that your relationship with your parents matters. And then talking about family. And then as you go to school, your school age peers and classmates and friends matter to you the most. And then the people that you live with or work with. And then as you get older, hopefully, Erickson said, you'll start thinking about all of humanity. That's the idea of the psychosocial theory that I like so much, all right? So at different ages, you have these conflicts that have to be resolved for you to be a healthy, happy human. It's kind of a humanist idea. I'm going to go through the 8 stages. There are only like 4 that I really think you should write down, and I have them bolded because they love asking about them on the AP exam. You don't need to write all of them down, but I am going to go over them in case you're curious. So the first stage I think is worth writing is called trust versus mistrust. And it goes with what we talked about with attachment theory and Mary Ainsworth. This idea that in your first year of life, you have to decide, is the world a safe place for you or not? Okay. So your relationship to your caregiver will impact whether or not you trust people going forward. That's part of your social development. The second stage, and this kind of ties to Freud's idea of Freud's second stage, the anal stage of the psychosexual theory. Erickson said that when you were going through potty training, and when you're, 3 years old, 4 years old, you're trying to do things on your own. You're starting to learn how to dress yourself. That's an example they love to give. To put your own shoes on, to hold your own fork, to feed yourself. Little kids who want to do things on their own, they're trying to develop autonomy. If they fail or if they struggle, then they develop shame and doubt, what Freud would call neuroses. In the third stage, or preschool, maybe early elementary school, little kids want to take initiative. They want to initiate. They want to kind of help out and contribute. Kids this age, they like doing chores because they feel like they can help the family, right? They want to pick out the puzzle, the movie. They want to help with the remote. Sometimes they get in the way. And if a parent yells at them, makes them feel bad, they'll develop guilt that maybe they're not helping the family. Initiative is hopefully what they get in this social interaction. When you start going to school, you start to compare yourself to others. Do you have industry? Are you being industrious, effective? Are you being able to get things done? Or are you worse than the other people around you? Do you feel inferior? The good thing and the bad thing. See how these are all conflicts? Trust versus mistrust. Feeling like you can do it yourself versus feeling that you can't. Feeling like you're contributing versus feeling like you're not. Feeling like you're productive versus feeling like you're not as good as everybody else, right? As a teenager, he said, you're trying to develop your identity. Where do you belong? Either you find your identity or you get confused. Here's a little graphic for you, right? This kid is happy. They have found what they're good at. They have found their group. This kid, not so much. They tried out basketball. It didn't work. They tried being emo, being Snake. It didn't work. They tried being a cowboy. It didn't work. You got to find where you belong. I just think this graphic is funny, representing identity, you figuring out where you belong versus role confusion, you being confused about where you fit in. That's what teenage life is all about. The 6th stage is you're an adult. It's about, are you generating 2 things? Are you generating money? This has to do with your work, with your job. And then it also has to do with generating family, okay? Or are you stuck? Are you stagnating? All right. Oh, that's a typo. I'll have to fix that. The last stage is for elderly folks, integrity, feeling like you've lived a whole life, versus despair, okay? Which is when they look back on their life and they don't feel like things went well. Sorry, this one here, the 6th stage, it's intimacy versus isolation. Sorry for the typo. So this is about early adulthood. Intimacy, looking for love, looking for close friendships. That's the good thing you get in the 6th stage. Whereas isolation is when you feel like you're alone, you don't feel like you have the deep relationship. So you go from being a teenager to looking for intimacy, that's the 6th value, to then going into the workplace. Sorry for the typo. Okay, thanks for hanging out with me. When you get old, you want to feel like you've lived a good life, that you contributed to humanity. Okay, be like this happy couple. Don't be like, this angry guy. Don't be like this grumpy couple, right? At the end of your life, you want to feel whole. You want to feel complete. That's the goal of Erikson's theory. Okay. So we have the ages here, we have the crises, and then just like, can you accomplish this question? Can I trust the world is okay to be me? Is it okay for me to do the things I do? Can I make it in the world? Who am I? Can I love? That's that intimacy question, early adulthood. Can I make my life count? Later adulthood. Are you generating? Are you being productive? Is it okay to have been me? Did I live a good life? I think this is a beautiful theory because it kind of ties in a lot of things we've talked about all year, and just talks about how we can get through these steps together, okay? So some text for understanding here. If you want to try and answer these, we'll look at them in class when the video is a little bit clearer for you, but just some practice questions that might help you out. If you want to pause it, try to answer these. We'll go over them in class together, okay? You're trying to explain Erikson's theory, pick out the correct crisis in young adulthood, and then kind of talk about what Jane is struggling with over here. All right, here's another check for understanding. You should be able to answer these questions. Number 3, you're picking the stage. Number 4 is just kind of a big picture question about Erikson's theory. And then in class, we're going to do an activity where I have y'all match 8 scenarios. I know it's going to be hard to see, so we'll do this together in class, but 8 scenarios with the 8 different stages. This will kind of be our little activity and our check for understanding class to make sure that you get it, okay? Morality and the psychosocial theory. We'll have some videos in class. Appreciate you all. Peace out.